Okay, so the peer meeting questions related to the video, the new era of positive psychology and the course materials discussed with the peers. How is positive psychology different from the traditional? Oh wait, I'm Kendra.
I'm Kylie.
I'm Mia.
The first question was, how is positive psychology different from the traditional psychology streams? And then you guys can answer that first because I have to go back to my doc in order to see that.
Okay.
I just thought that it was different because it's more about focusing on like strengths and like positive kind of things compared to like traditional psychology, which would focus more on like kind of like fixing something was how I took it. So I felt like it was kind of just trying to look at like more positive kind of things.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the way I see it, like traditional psychology is kind of more like step by step, like regimented in a way, and positive psychology is more like reflective, looking back on what's gone well and how the client can use their successes to move forward.
I just wrote how traditional psychology focuses on like diagnosing and treating mental illness and like looking for what's wrong. As compared to positive psychology, it kind of like shifts the focus towards what's correct. It focuses on like strengths, happiness, well-being instead of reducing to like suffering. And then emphasizes helping people thrive, grow, and reaching like their full potential and their health goals. So then part B, how are the principles of positive psychology applied to health coaching? Not to reiterate what I wrote word for word, but I said in health coaching, positive psychology shows up through practices like identifying client strength and building on what's already working. And then, for example, instead of focusing on barriers to healthy habits, a coach might help a client set like meaningful goals and recognize small wins and use gratitude and mindfulness just to reinforce like progress.
Yeah, pretty much the same, just focusing on strengths, and then when the client runs into some sort of trouble that's getting in the way of their goals, the coach might pull them back and say, well, how did you treat something like this in the past? What has worked for you in the past to get over this before?
Yeah, I just basically said the same thing, that it's more about like cultivating positivity and kind of like goal setting and what their strengths already are rather than looking at it in kind of like a negative way.
And then part C, it just states understanding like our positive understanding of positivity after the video and the materials. And then I just said after going over the video and the readings, my understanding of positivity is not just about like thinking happy thoughts. It's about intentionally working on your strengths and practicing gratitude, hope, resilience, and using them to navigate through challenges. And just kind of focusing on how you use that like mindset towards working towards your goals and like cultivating your own strengths.
I think it's definitely like constructive. It's not just throwing a bunch of like, oh, congratulations, you're so great, but something that really gives them helpful advice, whether they're doing well or not, that they can improve upon.
Yeah, I said basically the same thing. Just trying to like maintain positivity and look for positive aspects and things while also being like realistic and not just only trying to be positive, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so then question 2, why is positivity important during health coaching? I kind of just stated how it helps clients feel supported, motivated, and capable of change. And then how when a coach uses a positive approach, it shifts the client's mindset from focusing on barriers and kind of shifts that towards like seeing possibilities and future and just kind of reframing that like positive mindset.
I think it really helps the client connect more with themselves, realize their own strengths and how they tackle problems. What works for them might not necessarily work for other clients. So a big part of positivity would be kind of figuring that out.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then I also just said that if it's kind of like a negative vibe or if the client just feels like someone's speaking to them in a negative way, they're probably also going to be more inclined to not want to continue any sessions, and they might just like give up on their health goals altogether if it's coming across in a way that isn't the most positive.
Right. And then question 3, how did the coach help the client explore positivity in the coaching clip? I just kind of wrote how the coach guided the client by asking open-ended questions that encourage reflection on their strengths and successes rather than focusing on their weaknesses. And the coach also highlighted like progress and celebrated small wins without necessarily like telling them, oh, that was so great, like kind of coddling them. And then I said how like this approach helped the client like reframe their challenges and kind of like recognize their own capabilities.
The coach kind of steered away from letting things get too negative, even if things didn't really go exactly how the client wanted them to. But then also where there were those small successes, the coach kind of pushed them along and kind of made them feel more self-reliant.
I also said that the coach used some like positive language. Like at one point, she described the client as being positive and optimistic, which is just kind of like reinforcing those ideals into the client's head.
All right, and then question 4A, what was the last time you saw something really beautiful but didn't think others noticed? I feel like one of the most recent times that I've experienced this was like during practice. I was actually one of the mindfulness practices that we discussed in our last meeting, which is like expressing gratitude, and I kind of like spread that to my team and kind of told people how like we don't recognize like our privilege that we have to be able to practice every single day and like be in a nice facility, be able to be like fully able-bodied and practice for 2 hours straight. So I thought that was like kind of beautiful that we like get to practice and interact with people that we like and do the sport that we enjoy. And I don't think others necessarily notice that all the time. So that was something that I experienced recently.
For me, mine's kind of simple in a way, I guess, but I was up really early one morning and I was just kind of out for a walk, and like I saw in like the fields where there's a sunrise, there were like a couple of deer that were just like running about, and I thought it was like really pretty and just kind of stopped and took a moment to take it in. And I think a lot of times like we rush around and we don't really notice like the small things that we could be appreciating.
I just said that basically like I've been like really stressed out lately, and my mom has kind of just been like, I guess, noticing that, and she's just doing like small minor things that may not seem a big deal, but just things that are like making my life a little bit less stressful right now, like doing my laundry, starting my car without me realizing, like any really small thing like that. But I feel like it's just kind of like beautiful in a metaphorical kind of sense to like when people notice things like that and take the time to just make your day like a little bit easier, and people might not always pay attention to the small things
yeah.
like that make your life better.
And then the second part of that question, what can you do to see more beauty in life? I kind of just wrote how I can slow down and be more mindful even in like my everyday routines. Just kind of taking small pauses to appreciate like small simple things like you mentioned, and just like appreciate the details of just practicing mindfulness, and keeping a short gratitude journal, or like my teammates and I joked about like sending in our team group chat every morning like things that we're thankful for.
That's a good idea. One thing that's worked a lot for me, and not just like to see more beauty in life, but also just like to be more joyous in general, when things go wrong. And obviously you can't apply it to anything, like there are certain situations where it just wouldn't work, but I've started like laughing at like little mistakes. I think it's so easy for people to get frustrated with themselves or others, and like even down to their expressions. Like if you feel upset about a situation but you just kind of force yourself to like laugh it off or smile about it, it just kind of instantly changes the way you think about it.
I just said that kind of the same thing as what you had said, just taking the time to slow down and also being like more intentional about like time management and things like that. It would probably give more of an opportunity to
See more beauty in life.
yeah.
Okay. We finished all of like the short response questions kind of, and then practice on discovery, 3 wishes and 1 tool. In discovery phase where you find out what are 3 most wonderful things that could result from your. Each group member share 3 minutes each. So what are 3 most wonderful things that could result from us becoming certified. Any of you want to start? I need to think about this for a little bit.
I can start. So the first thing that I said was, it might sound obvious, but making a positive impact on someone else, and maybe just even kind of like a little bit being able to change their perspective and maybe be like a positive outlook on their life, or a positive outlet would be the word. The next thing I said was building relationships with the clients, because obviously everyone wants to have like a mentor, a positive relationship with people that they're interacting with. And I also said that maybe some of the things that I would help coach other people on, I could implement into my life as well, and it kind of like see myself in other people and improve as a coach and as a person as well.
I guess one wish would be, or like one thing I really think I could get out of health coaching is, in order to be a health coach, you would want to be a good role model for your clients, and just seeing how that would take part in my life, like certain things that I might struggle with myself, like being mindful, slowing down, or even just like getting better sleep, staying positive, little things like that I usually would just brush over, I would have to focus on more as a health coach. So that's definitely something that I would want to work on. Trying to think for my other two. Do you have one in mind yet?
I was just saying how one of the wonderful things that could result from me being a certified health coach was the fact that I feel like it'd help me a lot personally. Like, obviously we're helping our client become the best version of themselves, but I feel like in turn helping someone else be the best version of themselves, I would like kind of indirectly make myself the best version of myself. And I just really enjoy, I think I get more fulfillment. I said this in one of our first meetings. I feel way more fulfilled knowing that I had something to do in someone else's success rather than like my own success, if that makes sense. So I think I'd get a lot seeing that I had an impact on someone's like best version of themselves, if that makes sense. So that's one. Also just like relationship building, like you said. I really like, obviously, like being social and strengthening my relationships with my own life. So I think creating that like really strong client coach relationship would bring me a lot of personal joy in my life. So those are two off of the top of my head that I was gonna say.
Another one that would be very important to me is like developing my listening skills. I just want to be a better listener. For me especially, I sometimes fall in the trap of being like, yeah, like not really paying attention to what people are saying, whether it be like friends, family. Like I get on the surface level what they're saying, but it's definitely like a skill that I want to build on, just really being able to understand what people are saying and why it matters to them, just that I can be like a stronger friend or family member or whatever to them. And then also just kind of my interpersonal skills in general, like working on all of that as a health coach, whether it be like my expressions, like my self-confidence, eye contact, just really every area in general is something that I hope I would be able to work on as a health coach.
Yeah, my last one would just be to strengthen my like social skills, as like mundane as that sounds. Like, not to go on a spiel, but like I've been a beach lifeguard the past 3 years, and obviously like you're lifeguarding, but you're also sitting on the chair for 12 hours with someone, and like all you have is to talk to them. And one of my favorite things that have come out of that job is just the growth that I've seen, like social skills wise. Like I can hold a conversation easily, and I feel like I'm a naturally talkative person, so I feel like health coaching would also kind of have a similar effect to that, like on my personality and everything, and just like cultivating my social skills and just making it way easier to talk to whoever I need to talk to or want to talk to. I think that's something that I'd really enjoy and something that I could get out of becoming like a certified health coach. But yeah.
All right.
And then questions are when you open up the conversation to explore.
A time you were successful in learning a new skill or behavior that you practiced. Does anybody have something in mind that they could use?
Yeah, I can start. I would say that recently I've been kind of successful at trying during the week to go to bed earlier and wake up earlier instead of like going to bed later, waking up later. And the reason that I wanted to start doing this is just because like I've noticed that when I go to bed later, I'm way less productive the next day. I'm more tired. I'm drinking more caffeine. So at least during the week, I've been trying to like build a routine of, even if it's just a little bit earlier than I would typically go to bed. And I would say that my biggest success in learning this was just like working on my time management and realizing what things I want to prioritize versus like what's maybe not as important to me in order to achieve this. Sorry, I'm trying to read it. The way that it felt when I was like beginning to apply this was it felt like a little bit different for sure, and being up early was something I wasn't as used to, but I did notice that I was feeling more productive throughout the week, and the strengths that I've like gained from doing that is just obviously feeling more rested, feeling more productive, not relying on caffeine as much. So I think it's been helpful the past like few weeks trying to do that for sure.
That's good. Yeah. So one thing I've been trying to work on is mindfulness, which is actually funny because we were talking about it a lot in the video, I think 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
And I mentioned that I struggle with mindfulness because sometimes it's frustrating to me, like having to slow down, like forcing myself to kind of slow down. But I wanted to try it in a different way and see if I could find some benefit in it. So I tried like the 4-7-8 breathing, and the reason I wanted to try it was because I get back from practices some nights really late, like 11:45, midnight, I'm in bed, and then I have early class the next day. So I like after practice I'm all riled up, like ready to go. My heart rate is still really high. So I would like breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 7, and then breathe out for 8. And I didn't really expect it to do much. I've tried it before, but I started doing it like almost every day a week at night, and my heart rate would go from like 90 beats per minute or so to like 45, and it really like I think had a benefit in making me calmer before bed, like more relaxed, making it easier to fall asleep. So I thought it was definitely worth it. And yeah, what strengths and values I leverage. It wasn't that hard to stay committed to, because really I would just use like my Garmin watch. It has a setting that lets you do it. So it would only take like a few minutes, and I didn't find that I had to like motivate myself to do it or anything. So it's pretty simple, but definitely something that I want to stick with.
I should try that method. Something recently that I was successful in is just kind of like reframe. Oh my gosh, I can't talk right now. I'm like lisp. Reframing like my mindset towards something more positive. I feel like every single meeting I've spoken about like athletics, but like that consumes a lot of my like mental. So it's hard not to like think about that and like revolve my life around that. But I feel like as of recently, I've really been trying to look at the positives in things, as although that kind of sounds like surface level. And I feel like the motivations that kind of led me to learning this new skill or behavior. I personally just really don't like complainers and really big pessimists, and I feel like sometimes I can find myself getting into like a little bit of a negative Nelly situation, and I know that's not productive whatsoever, and I know I hate when other people do that. So when I do find myself kind of getting into that mode, I like immediately like clock it, and I'm like, no. And I feel like doing that has also like really affected the people around me and a lot of my teammates that I've been interacting with as of recently. And like the keys to success in my learning process, just kind of realizing the effects that that skill has on other people. Like when I do have that mental reframing and I change the way I carry myself, I change the things that I say, I kind of just like change my energy all around. I feel like I see the immediate like impacts of how that affects other people. So I feel like that was kind of like a major key to the success. How did it feel as I began to apply the new skill or behavior? What was your experience for the first time? Again, it just made me feel good, I guess you could say. Just knowing that I had a positive like impact on either like a practice or like just a social interaction or a class. And then the strengths and values that I leveraged to succeed in that experience. Again, just like realizing how much of an impact that I have on other people. Like one of the major things like the past week that has like kind of made me realize the impact that I had. Like we have, sorry, I'm like going on a spiel, but like we have a morning lift and we have an afternoon lift, and it's like half of my team, and the morning lifters are always like a little bit more down than the afternoon lifters because we go straight from swimming for 2 hours and then lifting. So people are low energy, and like we break it down at the end of practice, like we do like a Mac on 3 or something. And when we had our team huddle, I was like, let's bring the energy to lift. And then what do you know, like we had the energy in lift, and then my coach like made a comment about like how my presence on the team has a really large impact. So then I feel like that kind of made me realize like the words that I say and like the way I carry myself does really have a super large impact on those around me. So
Nice.
story time. Okay, we're on the role playing section now.
All right, so we're talking about one of our wellness wishes, our past experiences, past best experience related to it, the values behind the wish, and our hopes and dreams for the future, our future 3 wishes. I have a wish in mind, so I can be the client
First?
Yep.
And we're doing this for, it's supposed to be 10 minutes. I don't know if I'll be
10
able
minutes each.
to. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I don't know if personally, I don't know if I'm going to be able to coach for 10 minutes, but I'll try. So yeah, wellness wish, ask the client about their best experience related to this wish, explore the deeper value behind the wish, explore one of the best experiences they had, hopes and dreams for the future. Okay, sorry, I just need to read things out in order to like remember.
No, you're good.
And then do you want a time? I'll be looking down on my phone just to look at like the script a little bit, so I apologize in advance.
you're good.
All right, I'm ready whenever.
Okay.
Okay, so tell me about one of your wellness wishes as of right now.
So my biggest wellness wish would be to stick to a sleep schedule that works for me. It's been a wish for a while, but even though it's been something I've wanted for so long, I haven't ever really been able to stick to it for more than a couple of days a week.
When you do have those few days in the week where you do stick to that wellness wish, how do you feel?
I feel really proud of myself, even if it's just like one night where I was able to go to sleep early, maybe wake up a little earlier. My energy the next day has always been better, and like I don't feel super drowsy in the afternoon. My mood's better, and yeah, I just feel really accomplished.
Yeah, so on the flip side of that, how do you feel when you don't fulfill that wellness wish?
Pretty terrible.
Yeah.
On like so many different areas, because one, there's just like knowing that I had a goal and I didn't make it, so like there's a bit of shame with that, and like there was nothing in my way really, and yet I still went to sleep late, so I get a bit frustrated with myself. And then the next day I'm usually really tired going to my morning classes. I might have to like take a nap the next day, and it really just like throws my whole schedule back a little bit, because I don't always have like the mood or energy to stay motivated.
It seems like this has a really large impact on your like daily well-being. What do you think is one of the really large reasons as to why this is your wellness wish? Just trying to stay on that good like sleeping schedule.
I think, like, for me, a lot of other areas of my health are, like, pretty good to the point where, like, I don't even really have to think about them because they're just already managed. Like, for example, exercise. I'm on the club hockey team, so I'm, like, getting my exercise through that. I don't always have to worry about, like, adding on more on top of that, and I find that I eat, like, relatively healthy. But sleep has just been, like, that one area that I never seem to get a good hold of, and part of it is just for like the added energy benefit and like mood, well-being, all of that, but then also just kind of proving to myself that I can do it. Like if I have this goal, I'm disciplined enough to go through with it.
Well, it seems like in all the other areas of your health and well-being, you're thriving. And would you say this is the one area where you're like, I really needed this change?
Definitely.
I had my thought and then I lost it.
I know.
Let me read over. Is there any like specific instance that you can think about when you did fulfill this health goal, and do you want to just like reflect on how that made you feel, go throughout your day? Like how did that kind of lead to your success throughout the day?
Yes, and this is actually what's been motivating me to stay back on track with this goal, because this is actually before it was even a goal of mine. It was just part of my regular life. But my freshman year, I had a really good sleep schedule, like to the point where like some of my friends would like jokingly be like, you go to sleep too early. But like during the weeknights, sometimes I would just lay in bed at 9:30, fall asleep at 10, and like it felt great. It was a really consistent schedule, like down to the minute. I would just have a routine that I would stick to every night, and I like that wasn't even my goal back then. It was just part of my life. So I kind of use that as inspiration because I still remember how refreshed I would feel the next day because of it.
So you see that you are fully capable of doing that, and as of right now, that's kind of a struggle. What do you think are some barriers that are kind of holding you back from kind of achieving that again?
Definitely, I think it's called like revenge bedtime procrastination, where I'll like stay up scrolling on my phone, talking to friends, whatever. But it's weird because I do have time during the day. It's not like I have a super busy schedule, so there isn't really any reason for me to, because I could just do that earlier in the day. But I think it's just because it's like the end of the day, everybody is going to sleep. I just want like one last time to check in on everybody.
I hope she can hear us right now.
Yeah.
That helicopter just really distracted me. So it seems like you have kind of this realization that you kind of have the skills in order to take the next few steps towards achieving your goal. And you kind of already recognize the barriers, which is really great because I feel like that, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm like trying to keep my own personality out of this. So yeah, it seems as though you already know the steps towards fulfilling that health goal, which is great. But if you had a magic lamp and a genie were to grant you 3 wishes, what would they be?
Let's see. My first wish would be to be able to just like be one of those people who could close their eyes and go to sleep like 5 minutes later. I think that's a big part of it. Like if I close my eyes at 10 and my roommate closes my eyes at 10, she'll go to sleep at like 10:10. Part of the reason I have to like consciously be like, okay, I'm going to bed now is because it can take me a long time to fall asleep, like 40 minutes, sometimes more. So just like reliably being able to fall asleep when I want would be really nice. And the other 2 wishes, I would say more energy during the day to like do the things I want. Maybe go to like some more of the activities, like they do spin classes in the SAC, stuff like that. and I've never really had the energy to go.
In the mornings.
The mornings, but then
Yeah.
also just like in the afternoon.
Afternoon.
Too. And then my last wish. I have to think about
Yeah, take your
that.
time. It's your last wish, so you
Yeah.
gotta make it count. Yeah.
I would say to get in a routine, whatever it is, to like be consistent and show up for myself and like know that I can be reliable for my own self. Because if I can't be reliable to myself, how would I be able to do that for other people too?
So, it seems like your first wish, you really just kind of wish your health goal could just be so much more attainable by just going to sleep, closing your eyes, and going straight to sleep. And then obviously one of the outcomes of your health goal being like able to fall into a easier and more attainable like sleep schedule. One of the results would be more energy, which is obviously your second wish. So I feel like, again, you know exactly what you want out of your health goal, and you're aware of the steps that will bring you towards fulfilling that health goal. Can I get a time check? Okay, I'm at 8 minutes. I'll call it quits.
Okay, that was pretty good.
And then as a timer, can you give some feedback to the coach? There's like a little like excerpt about as a timer. So yeah, you can just give me feedback.
I would say that you guys did really well. I think you asked like basically all open-ended questions, and there was a lot of space for you guys to kind of like, you were elaborating off everything really well. The reflective listening skills that you used was that you were very like engaged. You weren't like on your phone or like
Yeah.
looking off in the
Yeah.
distance or anything like that. And it just showed that you were like really listening and being intentional about what she was saying. And then did you practice the affirmation? Yes, I would say that everything she was saying you were like affirming and kind of like in a positive way, like you weren't saying anything negative at all. But yeah, I would say everything she was saying you were definitely affirming and kind of like repeating what she was saying, which was obviously good.
Yeah. Do either of you have a preference as to what you are next?
I can try the coach. I don't know if I'll be able to fill the full 10 minutes.
10 minutes,
but
yeah. It's kind of
tricky,
hard, yeah. I can. Are you fine with me talking right now, like as the client? Because I think I have my wellness wish I could.
Wait, should I be the timer? That I'm just trying to think of like how we'll rotate it then. I guess it doesn't really
No,
matter.
it doesn't
We
matter. I
can-
don't think it
yeah.
matters the order, because
Okay.
either way. Wellness wish.
All right, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let me just get the timer started too. Okay.
So tell me about a wellness wish
Tongue
that you
twister.
have.
It's kind of a future wellness wish, but it's been something that's been on my mind as of recently. I feel like all throughout my upbringing and like the past 3 years in college, I've been super active, but that's only kind of because I've been obligated to be active because that's kind of my job. So I've been kind of switching my mindset as of recently when it comes to working out, being like, I want to do this. This is something that I enjoy as compared to this is something I'm obligated to do and I really have to do because it's like my job. So my wellness wish going forward is to figure out a way to, I'm trying to figure out a good way to phrase this. Like wholeheartedly enjoy being active. And remain active for a very long time, even without like the external motivations, and kind of finding like the internal motivation to be active, if that makes sense.
So if I'm hearing right, your sport for you is kind of your external motivation. It's, you have to show up for your sport, for your teammates.
Yeah.
You're kind of obligated to participate, and it holds you to a standard. You still enjoy it,
Yeah.
it sounds like.
Yeah.
But you'd like to find a way to be active outside of that comes from within you.
Yeah, I feel like that's exactly what I've been kind of thinking about, just because I know my career is coming to an end very soon. So I feel like it's been kind of hanging over my head that I no longer will have this external motivation to work out. And I'm scared once I do lose that external motivation, I won't bring it upon myself to remain motivated to work out. And I know I'm someone who values kind of like on a more surface level, not to sound vain, but I care a lot about how I look, like physicality wise, like physical, like physique wise. So I don't know, just having that in the back of my mind has been like an overhanging anxiety for a little bit.
Yeah. So let's say that you didn't have your sport throughout college or high school. What do you think your day-to-day activities would look like? Do you think you would still work out and remain active? Would you enjoy it as much as if it wasn't your sport?
I honestly don't know, because I like being active, and of course they're doing
We'll have to talk.
yeah,
really
we'll have to
loud.
talk really loud. I honestly don't know, because I've been doing sports for so long where it's been an everyday experience for me, so I've never really had the chance to like not have that in my life. And I feel like when I don't have say like practice every single day and like the season isn't at its peak, I feel kind of purposeless when I don't have practice and I don't have like an organized workout. So honestly, I really have no clue as to how that feels, because I've always been in season, or like I've always had a sport to attend. So I genuinely don't know how that feels.
Yeah. So have you, or what, if anything, have you done outside of your meets, your sport, in order to remain active? Is there anything that you've been doing?
I like going on walks and runs. Like I like to run, although it's like not for a very long time. I like to lift. I've been interested in doing like organized workout groups and everything, but for some reason, like I just don't like working out in public, even though like when we lift in the weight room here, like I'm in front of my entire team, like in a glass pane like room, and everyone can see me. But I feel like I have a little bit of like workout anxiety when it comes to like working out by myself in public, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I like lifting, and I like running.
Yeah, running.
Yeah.
Would you say that you enjoy like lifting, running, or are as motivated to do those as you are to go to your sport?
Like yes and no. Again, like I feel like the motivation to do those things comes out of like a very vain like mindset. Like I know I want to look a certain way, so it's like, okay, I have to go run, I have to go work out, because it's like, I don't know, I'm very hyper aware of like physique wise. But I think the thing that is missing when I do these solo workouts is like the team aspect. Like I love team lift because it's like 30 of us just like kind of messing around lifting weights, and like it's fun.
Yeah.
So I think the main thing that I miss when I do have these solo workouts is like the team aspect of it.
Yeah, the social aspect.
Yeah,
They
the
probably
social aspect.
kind of hold you accountable
Yeah.
too. They make you want to show up. So tell me about your best experience where you like internally motivated yourself to work out, whether it be running, lifting, something that you did for yourself, nothing externally was leading you to do that.
This summer I was on the mission to be able to do a couple pull-ups in a row, because I haven't been able to do that since I was like in middle school. And like that doesn't help me in any way, shape, or form, like outside of like just wanting to do pull-ups. But this summer I was like, you know what, I'm gonna be able to do some pull-ups in a row. So like almost every day I was in my garage like lifting. And again, like no one was holding me hostage to do these pull-ups, but like for some reason every time I lifted, I'm like, all right, I have to end with pull-ups. And I did that, and now that we have like our organized lifts as a team, I'm really happy because they're in our program this year. So it's like I randomly just chose to be able to bang out some pull-ups, and now that kind of like helped me out this season. And I feel like that made me feel really good about myself, because I kind of see like my own hard work without any sort of like external motivations kind of help me, and my goals kind of came into fruition without any sort of like competition in mind or like practice in mind. So I feel like that's kind of one instance that came to the top of my head.
Yeah, that's good. You did it for you.
Yeah.
There was really nothing outside of that was maybe more superficial,
Yeah.
leading you to act on that. So if you were granted 3 wishes for your future, it can be related to this or not, what would they be?
My first one would just to be like remain healthy, like objectively healthy, whether that's like, I don't know, stay at a weight that I think is my healthy weight, be able to remain active as much as I can, just kind of like objectively healthy, if that makes sense. I know one of my concerns when it comes to stopping swim is just like general weight gain, because that happens to a lot of collegiate swimmers just because you're not burning as many calories. So kind of staying in a healthy weight where I'm like happy physique wise, but I know I'm not like restricting anything from my diet, and like I love to eat, so like making sure I'm still mindfully eating. And then third, like this is kind of a pipe dream, like random, but like I'd love to run a marathon. So like one of my health like related goals or like wishes would be down the line to either like do a marathon or do a triathlon or like something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm hearing right, with your first 2 wishes, it's really about finding ways to naturally stay healthy in your life, something that feels right to you and is not forced, or something that you feel like, oh, like I don't want to do this every time you go there. But then also something kind of above and beyond to kind of have a stretch goal and push yourself towards.
Yeah.
Great.
All right.
Okay. I don't think I can.
Yeah, you're right.
All right.
Yeah, that was good. That was
I
good.
think you're good. Sorry, what were the questions again?
Right here.
So, yes, I would say that you were asking open-ended questions, which gave a lot of room to kind of like keep the conversation going and progressing. The reflective listening skills that you used was just mindfully listening to what she was saying, and like you didn't seem to be distracted or anything like that. And then, did you practice affirmation? I would say that I think you definitely were practicing affirmation and kind of just like reiterating what she was saying, and yeah, that's basically it.
All right.
I can time. You have your 2 roles to fulfill, so whenever you guys are ready, I can start timing.
Wait, does this mean I have to be the client again?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because I think either way, since it's 3 of us, we would have had to
Yeah,
repeat a
we have to
role.
repeat.
Yeah. Can I just use the one that I just used?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you guys ready?
Wait, so am I being the coach first or the client first?
You want to be the coach first?
Yeah. All right,
Oh
1,
God,
2.
this is like what I struggle with.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. All right, 1, 2, 3, go.
so can you just
Yeah.
sorry, like can't solve
Yeah.
Can you just identify one of your wellness wishes, like something that you're looking to improve on?
So one of my wellness wishes is to develop a consistent sleep schedule.
Okay, so it sounds like you feel as though your sleep schedule isn't something super consistent in your life.
Yeah, I tend to sleep like really late, wake up either like too early, too late, like really all over the place. There's no sort of schedule about it, and not only do I want to fall asleep a little bit earlier, but I also want to just have it be relatively the same time every night.
Do you feel like, based on what you do like during the day, that kind of affects your sleep schedule, or is it kind of just all over the place like throughout the week?
That's a good question. I definitely feel like there are some days that lead to me having a worse sleep schedule than others. I think a lot of it does come down to me just like not having the willpower to just like close my eyes, put everything away, go to sleep. But then there are also some days where like I procrastinated my homework, so my mind is kind of like wound up right before bedtime. Or and this one's a bit out of my control, but just practices. 2 nights a week I have really late practices, and when I come back from that, I'm all like wired up, full of energy, and it kind of just takes takes some time for me to wind down from that.
So it sounds like, if I'm hearing this right, some internal and external factors, so like things that you can and can't control, are kind of affecting your sleep schedule throughout
Right.
the week. Have you noticed that when you get more sleep, or you like have a consistent sleep schedule, you feel like, how do you feel when that happens throughout the day?
I definitely feel like I can take on more during the day, whether that be like go for a run, sign up for a class, just like anything on cork, like not even exercise related, just random things. My social battery is better. So there's definitely a huge positive impact on me having a better sleep schedule. But yeah, it's just not something I've been able to stick to.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that you have a hard time sticking to a consistent sleep schedule, kind of no matter the circumstances. Okay. I guess on the opposite end of that, how do you feel when you get, like, don't have a consistent sleep schedule?
Pretty awful. I do get really down on myself, and feel like ashamed, like, oh, how did I let this happen again? Like, I had no reason to just not go to sleep early, but I chose to, even though I knew that it doesn't work well for me. And then the next day I feel more sluggish. I'm not able to accomplish as much. I might have to like take a nap, that type of thing.
So it sounds like that you've noticed a pattern that, like, when your sleep schedule isn't as consistent, you feel like less productive throughout the day and less motivated, would you say?
Right, yeah.
Okay. What would you say are some things you can maybe do, like, throughout the day to help you stay on track to have a better sleep schedule?
Well, I have heard that it helps to like get outside and get sunlight during the day, because it regulates like your internal clock a lot. So I definitely could do that, whether it just be like going for more walks or more runs. Although it is starting to get chillier, so like that could make it a bit difficult. And then also after practice, or even just like at nights if I don't have practice, I could opt to like read a book, or like if I feel like I absolutely had to use screens, I could just watch a show with my roommates. Something where it's like not like taking in all this information all at once, like a foot from my face, as it would be with my phone.
Yeah, so it sounds like that you have some steps in mind that you could take to maybe improve your sleep schedule. That what you just said kind of leads into what I was going to ask. Do you feel like you consistently kind of like use screens a lot before going to bed, or not all the time?
Definitely, and I think it's probably one of the biggest factors as to why I go to sleep so late.
Are there any steps that you could take maybe throughout the day, or even just like before you go to bed, to maybe limit your screen time? I know it's like a hard thing in our generation, especially, or just this day and age.
I've like for me, one of the things that takes up a lot of my time is like Instagram. So I put time limits, and then when the time limit hits, I just hit ignore. So that hasn't worked for me. But I think like the best thing I could do is probably replace it with something like equally as interesting, whether it be like doing an activity with my roommates, watching a movie or a show, reading a book, really anything that's like a little bit slower, so I'm not getting like information overload.
So it sounds like you have a similar situation to, I'm sure, how a lot of people feel, that screens before bed kind of is just like normally what a lot of people do, but that in turn can kind of like keep you up later than you were maybe anticipating.
Right.
Do you have like a nighttime routine that you do at all, or is it kind of just like depends?
I really don't.
That makes sense. Maybe implementing certain things in like a nighttime routine. I know that you said you have practices like a few nights a week, but maybe implementing certain things that are consistent each night could help you stay on a better sleep schedule, and maybe won't be stressed out about going to bed at a certain time each night.
Yeah, I think that would be a good start for me.
Do you have if you found a magic lamp with a genie, what 3 wishes do you think you would want to do?
This one's definitely inspired by what you just said, but for sure, a nightly routine. If it just comes naturally to me, I think it would be easier for me to do it. Like, if I've just consistently been doing it, it would just be way easier for me to, it would become a habit. So that, more energy during the day to just do the things that I love, and make my days more meaningful. I think like it's kind of this like vicious cycle where if I like didn't have a super like productive or like meaningful day, I feel like I have to make up for it at night, and then it just like flows into the following day if I stay up too late. So that, and yeah, just going to sleep earlier, although that's less of a wish and more of a goal. I think would be like the biggest step for me.
I understand what you're saying. So those wishes also sound like they could kind of be related to your wellness wish of wanting to have maybe a more consistent sleep schedule, and that if you can achieve a more consistent sleep schedule, you'll probably feel like more well rested and more productive throughout the day. Is that accurate?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I think you did a good job at being mindful when it came to like listening, like maintaining eye contact, open body language, kind of like reiterating what she said response wise. I think the only thing that Fran told me during class to be mindful of when you're like reflecting back onto someone, kind of like steer away from giving ultimatums or like projecting your own feelings or how you would feel in the situation, because like there were instances where you were like, does it make you feel like this or does it make you feel like this, and instead of like giving them 2 options, just making it like a very open-ended how do you feel, because I do that a lot, and I was doing that in class and she was like, be aware that you're doing that. So I think that's the only thing, but everything else was good.
Yeah, and you reflected a lot like for each question, which is good.
You ready to switch? Okay.
Yes. Switch.
So am I the coach and then you're the, do you have to be the client? Is that the last one?
Yeah,
You have to do?
I
Okay.
think that's the last thing.
All right, let me pull up the things again. I'm ready whenever.
Okay.
So what's one wellness wish that you have when I ask you that comes to mind?
I would say something that I kind of struggle with consistently is like time management, which I want to improve on, so that way I just don't feel as stressed and overwhelmed, and also that I feel like I can do like more productive things throughout the day and get more done.
Yeah, you kind of answered my question that I wanted to kind of clarify with you, but when you say time management, like what does that necessarily entail for yourself?
I would say that time management means kind of like planning out more what I'm going to do throughout the day and getting better at prioritizing different tasks. I have ADHD, so that personally makes me kind of feel like all over the place sometimes, and I'm pretty like organized, I would say, but it's more just like not knowing what tasks maybe need to get done versus like what's maybe not as important in the moment.
What does this look like in your day-to-day life? Like how does everything that you just said kind of translate to like daily tasks, daily routines, everything like that?
I would say that even just for an example, when I have like multiple homework assignments that need to be done, even if one is due that same day and the other assignment isn't due for a few days, like I sometimes have trouble being like which one needs to get done first, which most people would be like, obviously the one that's due today needs to get done first, but it kind of just overwhelms me a lot. And sometimes I just don't realize like how fast time has gone by, that it maybe is taking me more time to like complete a task than I would like.
If you were able to practice better time management and kind of fulfill with school, how do you think that would make you feel?
I think that it would make me feel more productive, because if I was able to like plan things out better, I think I would be able to get more done in like a given day. I definitely still get a lot of things done, but I feel like I could just be more productive for sure.
What are some things that come to mind that kind of hold you back from being able to kind of fulfill this wellness goal?
I would say just that I feel like kind of overwhelmed, especially the past few weeks. I think it's because like graduating college coming up and all that. I'm sure like a lot of people probably feel like this, but it's kind of like the next step of maybe not being in school kind of like is daunting to me. And I think it's just like like I said, feeling overwhelmed, like I have too much to do in a given day. I don't really like always know where to start.
I could see how large and like major life changes could kind of give you that whole like overwhelming feeling.
Yeah.
And I could see why you would assume a lot of people feel the same way, since it is just like such a big kind of like lifestyle change. Let me think for a little bit. What are some kind of small steps you think that you could take in order to kind of fulfill this wellness wish?
I would say that I've already been working the past few weeks at like improving my sleep schedule, and that's always been something that I've struggled with, is just staying up super late and then not waking up as early as I could. So I think being more well rested and just having more of like a consistent routine in that way will help me. And also just like learning more about like what I need to prioritize throughout the day.
Was there ever a time where you were kind of closer than where you are right now to fulfilling this goal? Or has this always kind of just been like a lingering issue?
I would say it's kind of always been a lingering issue. It's just one of the things that I like struggle with throughout the day, like kind of all the time, is feeling like I don't have enough time to get the things that I need to done because I'm not prioritizing things that maybe.
Yeah. How do the days that you do a really good job at kind of having these little incremental changes, like how does that kind of make you feel at the end of the day when you do have a really good day when it comes to this type of issue?
It makes me definitely feel more like accomplished throughout the day and feel like I was much more productive. I think that like when I prioritize what needs to be done as opposed to things that maybe aren't as important to me, it just makes me feel overall like better throughout the day.
So when you do kind of take these steps to fulfill this wellness goal and you kind of have those little incremental lifestyle changes, at the end of the day, you can end the day feeling accomplished.
Yes, I would agree with that for sure.
And I could imagine how good that makes you feel at the end of the day, knowing that you got the things that you got done, that really needed to be done, whether it was assignments, small little like errands, anything like that. I could see that really makes you feel good about yourself. So kind of just stemming off of what you just told me about your wellness goal, if you were to find a magic lamp and a genie were in it, and granted you 3 wishes, what would those wishes consist of?
I would say my first wish was to remain healthy and just being active, which I know is something that makes me feel much better throughout the day. And like going along with that, I kind of like, this also goes along with the time management thing, I kind of want to start going to the gym in the morning as opposed to at night, but it's just a little bit difficult, like obviously having 8 a.m.s and stuff throughout the week. But I think that would make me feel much better. I would also say being overall just less stressed out. I know stress is like something that I'm not the only person that feels, but I would just like to not be as stressed out as I currently am. And then I would also say like currently I just would want to do really well in my classes, like as well as I can, and just putting like my maximum effort that I could into all of my classes.
So it sounds like these 3 wishes kind of boil down to a little bit like more simple goals that you really have. So just overall well-being, staying active, good mental health, managing stress, and just kind of having, again, those small like incremental changes in your lifestyle that would kind of ultimately play a role in your really large wellness goal, of just kind of managing stress and just improving time management.
Yes, I would agree with that for sure.
Okay, I think that was almost 7, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
How do you feel? We did.
I thought you guys did well. I thought you did a really good job of like showing that you heard her. You weren't pitying her, but you were like affirming what she was saying, how she was feeling, you asked a lot of open-ended questions. A couple of times, like, I've struggled with, like, the ultimatums, but I thought that time, like, I didn't catch any. Like, you did a good job of making sure she wasn't put in, like, two boxes.
Categories,
Yeah, two categories. And, yeah, it was good.
I think that brings us to the end of the
Yep.
video.
We're done.
It does,
Alright.
yeah.
Good job, guys.